Hi guys, welcome to Clockwork Noodles, back again for another episode of the Aquatope and White Sands. Can you believe that I've actually been doing this for 14 episodes? This is going to be a long one. I think there's only been one time since I've done a 24-parter when I've broken down every single episode. I'm still with it. I'm here, and this week's episode definitely put me in a better place than last week. After last week's episode, I did feel a little bit reluctant to continue just because of how bad the last episode made me feel. I felt awful. I came away from the episode feeling very bittersweet, very quite sad and quite down. This week definitely feels a bit better, which I'm very thankful for. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Thank you to the new few people who have joined. We have finally hit 450, which means we are 50 off the halfway mark. And that still means I've still got to do it again. But we are slowly moving, and that makes me very happy. I really hope that it doesn't take us a whole extra year to hit 1,000, but it takes however long it takes. And I'm thankful for everybody who has continued, because there's a few faces now who have been regulars, and you guys are the ones that really do make this worth it, because even if it's like 5 of you, you are worth it to me, and I hope that you enjoy the content that I bring you. There's also a Discord channel too that allows you to have notifications to your phone whenever videos launch. That also allows you to keep scheduled. It helps scheduling, apparently. Some people see the videos and go, oh yeah, that's out today, and when I didn't realise it. Maybe that will help you guys too. Let's kick off with a bit more of an upbeat episode. I'm happier after this week's episode than last week's episode, because we now have Fuca and Cuckoo who are neighbours. This was teased in the OP. That's the only reason why I wasn't shocked, because we saw it and they showed it to us. The details in the sand right at the start, where you've got the crystals and the little sparkly bits in the stones, that's just kudos. You didn't have to go and edit and draw in those bits, those little tiny stones, but you did. And you can see the stars also reflected so nicely in the sea as well. The only thing I think now rivaling this one for details is probably the anime that launched yesterday, and that is Aquatope Destiny. And if you haven't seen my review for it yet, that is now out. They're both highly detailed animes. They look gorgeous. Fuka actually does get a role which works with the animals. This again was shown in the OP. She is seen feeding the penguins, and the only reason I didn't mention it in my breakdown of the OP is because I didn't want to say it if somebody hadn't realised, or if you hadn't picked up on it. I didn't want to exactly spoil this little moment here. But yes, it's in the OP. Fuka is definitely feeding penguins in the OP. The welcome Fuka receives feels very different from the one that Cuckoo gets. He actually gets quite a nice warm welcome from the director, and he even says, let's make every day a happy day. Sadly, I would disagree that last week's episode was indeed a happy one. Last week's episode put me in a very bad place, and I felt quite bad. I'm very happy that this week is a little bit different, and we're starting to resume some kind of positivity in the episode. The role that Fuka gets given actually feels like the role that really should have gone to Cuckoo, because Cuckoo's keychains, when she made keychains back in Gamma Gamma, they were penguins. It was all penguins when it came to Cuckoo, and Cuckoo really loved her penguins, but she doesn't get this role, and obviously I'm happy it goes to Fuka, because Fuka really seems to have a talent for knowing names and learning people's names. She learns the penguins very quickly. I definitely knew she had it in her, but it's definitely a role as well that it's the first encounter that Fuka had when she went to Gamma Gamma, was the ones that she ended up going face to face with the penguins, and she ends up falling down. Cuckoo now continuing the bullying in the workplace with the plankton nickname. It's still belittling, even if someone wants to say it doesn't mean a lot, or if someone tries to back this guy up, don't back this guy up. This is still bullying. He's calling her as plankton. Plankton is small and demeaning. He's looking down upon her. The idea of looking down as well seems to really go through the director, and I've got her name now, guys. Hibaru, I think that's her name, or Biech. But I've got her name just because I couldn't keep swearing in the video. In case one day it ever ends up monetized, this will be demonetized quite quickly. We're going to call her Hibaru. I also felt quite annoyed that the director was all okay at lumbering work on Cuckoo, but he wasn't very good at just giving her any hand. There's no helping hand, no nothing. He doesn't offer her any tidbit to make her job any easier. And of course, he's definitely going to be the kind of manager who would screw on you as soon as you make a mistake or something fails because you didn't give that person enough support. He would be all over it. You know that. So poor Fuka ends up actually on Hibaru's team, and thankfully, even though Hibaru continues the whole I'm looking down on you thing, Fuka takes it up a little bit differently because she's got a slightly different mindset. Haibara is obviously doing this because she's a little bit jealous that Fuka ended up getting the role in the very competitive market that she tells us back in season 1 on basically no experience. Fuka ends up being hired with 1 month's experience, and obviously she does have Gramps pulling a few strings, but this must be a bit of a kick in the teeth to Haibara, who had to put a lot of effort into her role. So that's why she's going a little bit more rougher on Fuka, which I can kind of understand with Fuka. Fuka doesn't have a great deal of experience, so this one doesn't feel as unfair as her treatment with Cuckoo. Fuka taking up the challenge, and again, she's got a great mindset. Fuka wants to be useful. That's why she now drives. She has a driving license, which is great. Fuka just wants to be as useful as she can. That's the kind of character she is all throughout the first season. Fuka puts others before herself. She's always thinking about others instead of her own self. And I really hope at some point we get to see Fuka starting to think for herself. Haibara still providing that thorny hurdle though. So she's definitely our hurdle this week. But it's a hurdle that ends up being overcome, which is quite nice. So seeing that Gramps had pulled some strings to help get Fuka in was actually quite a nice little moment. He's a character that he's a bit 50-50. Like, his methods seem very underhanded, very rough, and I just don't agree with half of his methods. But I'm very happy that he allowed Fuka to at least go there, because it's what Cuckoo really needed. Cuckoo needed Fuka there, or I think she was on the brink of quitting or brink of just leaving. The behind the scenes tour allows us, the audience, to see how high tech Tingara really is. It really feels like a super modern aquarium. Every single tank is being monitored by monitors and underwater photography. That means you're going to pick up on any of your sick fish really, really quickly. This is an aquarium which has a lot of money and a lot of funding. So it's also an aquarium which could go down quite quickly if it suddenly didn't pull in the customers. So when we see the marketing team focusing on advertising, you need it, because aquariums take a lot of overheads to run. Fuka really does have a great affinity with the penguins, and I really do love the fact that she starts to learn the names, the temperaments. It also allows us, the audience, to also learn the names, the temperaments, and the penguins at this new aquarium. It shows us the fighting as well, so we get to see that the penguins aren't quite acting as they would do because they are stressed. So the reason why we ended up having a bit of a hurdle placed is because Haibara is putting the needs of the animals first, which, as much as I don't like her, is the correct thing to do. You put your animals first. The people come second. It's always the customers are second, the animals are first. The penguins are stressed in their new environment, which is why we get the hurdle placed initially with that you're not allowed to do backstage tour here. Cuckoo definitely needed to leave it alone, so I was very panicky when she was starting to push again that the penguins had to be part of it. It made me a bit worried because I felt like she would be trying to go for a quiet life, so, leave it be, don't try and push Haibara anymore. And it really did feel like a bad idea. I got a little bit nervous and anxious during the bit where she's trying to pump up the other colleague without Haibara even being there. The penguin test is a fantastic moment because we get to see Cuckoo and Fuka working together once again, and it also acts as a visual aid to Cuckoo, who starts to realise the exact reasons why the hurdle may have been placed is because she gets to visually see the penguins who are now stressed. The penguins in this aquarium are all new. It does make me wonder, where did the Gamma Gamma penguins all go? I would like to know where they've gone. I liked, was it Waddles? Waddles was amazing. That little tiny little hope that maybe one day we'll see Waddles again, perhaps. A fantastic moment where the hurdle is overcome and Haibara starts to come around to the idea of you can do it on conditions, which is fair enough. And I'm massively relieved to see that nothing bad happens and the tour goes ahead okay. We just need to find a way of getting more people involved in the tour. But thankfully, the first time round, you just had like a happy little family and not a lot went wrong. The kids were behaving themselves. The penguins didn't get stressed out. It's probably what they needed for their first time tour. But again, the director not happy with the performance. The last sequence is very, very nice because the pair finally get to have some very nice moments together where they can cook. Because they're living so closely, we get some really nice behind the scenes with these guys, really acting like sisters. And I think that's kind of where they've agreed to leave the relationship in that, I think it was episode 12, where that's where they left it off. But it's nice to see them spurring each other on, and it's also nice to see Cuckoo now has somebody with her. She's no longer alone, which really made me feel sad. She has somebody to fall back on and somebody in her corner whenever she needs it the most. I enjoyed this week's episode a lot more than last week's episode. Last week's episode left me in quite a bad place. This week's episode gives me a spark of hope that things may be okay. And I really hope that at some point we do get a big happy ending. At the moment, I can just see it running through as having a safe ending where we end up with everybody finally becoming one big team, and Tingara is where we end up, and Cuckoo settles, and we don't end up with anything to do with Gamma Gamma ever again. So Gamma Gamma is a thing of the past. That is what I think we're heading to at the moment, the safe ending. But maybe there won't be a safe ending. Maybe we'll get a surprise happy ending, and a lot of us were hoping that we'd maybe go back to Gamma Gamma after, and maybe it'd be like revamped or something. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but that would be a cool unexpected twist if they were happy to do so. Thank you guys so much for joining in. I hope you guys are having a much better week. And this episode 2 also put you in a better standing than last week's episode. It was hard to watch. A few of you guys also said that as well. But thank you guys for your continued support. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.